for 2 or 3 games. I'm not a big fan of Anderson because also he's known for a little bit of drop passes. Curtis Samuel, I feel like he needs to get some targets back, and I feel like it's this week against a Atlanta weak secondary.
Now, let me ask you this. Without Greg Olsen in the lineup, would you rather play the young, athletic, but underwhelming, not underwhelming, underperforming Ian Thomas or your boy Jimmy Graham this week?
Jimmy Graham, he seems to be he's you know what, the Redskins are, I believe, top 7 or top 8 from when I looked yesterday to giving up tight end points. And Jimmy Graham, I think him and Mercedes Lewis are going to have a day. So I would play Jimmy Graham. I think there might be a touchdown today for him.
Okay. As far as the overall score goes, guys, I think the Falcons, it's going to be a scrappy game for sure, but Julio historically has had just crazy games against these Panthers, and I know you got to take it one season, one game at a time, but just when you look at the overall picture, Julio's put up 200 yards on this team plenty of times before, and he can do it again as long as that shoulder stays healthy. So I've got the Panthers. I've got the Falcons to cover.
I was about to say, you just hyped up the Falcons. You're going to pick the Panthers?
Yes, I got the Falcons to cover. They definitely get the 3.5. So I'm taking the Falcons, D.
Give me Cousin Joe's Dirty Birds. I like it. I love it. I want me some more of it.
You better. Here's a game that you don't want any part of.
It's the consolation prize after Georgia just got smoked by LSU last night.
Oh, that was Joe Burrow, man.
I loved it.
Wow. Just wow.
Heisman, baby. Heisman.
Yeah, easily. Just give it to him now. Here's a game you don't want any part of. Your division rivals, the Detroit Lions, travel to Minnesota with David Blau to take on Kirk Cousins in a non-primetime game. This is going to be an interesting one. The Vikings are likely to win. You're just not sure by how much. Currently, Vegas has them favored by 13.
Whoa. You just let off David Blau?
I got to start off with David Blau.
Listen, all I'm going to say is this. Detroit Lions are 3-1 in that stadium, in that U.S. Bank Stadium. And you got Bo Scarborough, my boy, I mentioned weekly, and he produces. So I'm just saying a little bit here. Don't sleep on Detroit, folks.
You're right. I mean, Kenny Galladay still getting it done. Blau is a hell of a story. Scarborough getting lots of carries, but I think it's not enough.
That Minnesota secondary is giving up yards and touchdowns. Xavier Rhodes, the highways are open, not the roads.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, the roads are clear for any receiver to just come on through. It's been what a turnaround. I mean, I've got to believe he's got an injury that's been hampering him, because to such a fall off this quickly, we've never seen anything like it.
You know what it is? Those money bags he's carrying on his hips are too heavy from the extension he got paid with. That's what it is, those money bags.
We mentioned earlier Adam Thielen, another game that he's going to miss. So B.C. Johnson and Laquan Treadwell likely to pick up the slack there.
Ooh, another one that might just got turned to doubtful. Riley Reef, right tackle for Minnesota. And we've seen what happens when Kirk Cousins gets a little pressure on him. And Flowers is been turning it up lately.
Yeah, that's true. After all year long of bashing Flowers, suddenly you're gonna hype him up. Okay.
Hey, I'm gonna hype him up because they're playing Minnesota.
No, I love it. Yeah, so you're talking Treadwell and B.C. Johnson as far as guys looking to fill the hole that Adam Thielen has. Tight end wise, Kyle Rudolph has been getting it done for this team without Adam Thielen in there. So Rudolph's a guy I think you can play with confidence at your tight end spot. Dalvin Cook was the big scare. What's that?
What about Irv Smith Jr.?
No, I like Irv Smith Jr. I just don't think he gets enough targets. I mean, he might get you a touchdown. So, I think if you're talking about Irv Smith Jr. or Dallas Goedert, I'm playing Dallas Goedert. Irv Smith Jr. and Mike Gesicki, I'm playing Gesicki. So there's just not a lot of scenarios. I mean, would you rather play Darren Fells for the Texans or Irv Smith Jr.? Personally, I'd rather play Fells.
Yeah, I play Fells. He's been a huge weapon for Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, so I still think you can dig
into a starting
to the wire. Yeah, but obviously Dalvin Cook was the big scare for all fantasy owners after taking the injury last week, fumbling twice, getting benched essentially. I mean, so that he could quote unquote rest. And then you saw Alexander Madison take over the workload from there. But with Dalvin Cook being given the green light, 100%, he says he 100% expects to play today. So you definitely gotta start Dalvin Cook today. I'm not veering away, and I'm not as confident flexing Alexander Madison as I was when Cook. It looked like he was gonna, at least cede some snaps to him. So I don't know. How do you feel about that, D? If you're someone who has Cook and Madison in a matchup where the Vikings are expected to be ahead, maybe grind out the clock, are you comfortable playing them both today?
I may lean heavier towards Madison because of the fact of Cook. He has that upper chest injury right above his ribs near his armpit. If he takes one wrong hit and a running back gets hit in the shoulder area all game long, all it takes is one hit and he's out. That's what it took last week against Seattle. And Detroit's got, I mean, yeah, I know they got some leaky faucets in their defense, but
they are bad giving up points to their running back.
Yeah. And there's still hard hitters like Gerard Davis. Yeah, he's horrible in coverage, but he's a solid run defender. And I feel like one good hit from him might put Cook back in the injury room. So I feel comfortable playing Madison more. That's just me.
It's tough, man. I do feel like at this point, if you have them both, you almost got to play them both. But boy, there's other options too. I mean, we talked about
a spot on your fantasy team to in case of injury. Isn't that hurting your fantasy team rather than helping?
It is. It absolutely is. But when you're talking about a team like the Lions that just gives up points, I mean, I could see Cook doing some pretty good damage, maybe getting you a decent enough performance in the first half, and then you're able to play Madison from there. So it's tough, man. It really is. I don't like if you're talking about would I rather play Bo Scarborough, take Dalvin Cook out, play Madison and Scarborough? Absolutely not. So it's just a really tough scenario for fantasy owners right now.
Respect on the Scarborough name.
I can't through the ground, but what I will say is for the Lions in the air, you can play Kenny Golladay with confidence. No matter, he's like DeAndre Hopkins from several seasons ago when they had TJ Yates and Ryan Fitzpatrick back there, Brock Osweiler, doesn't matter. Hopkins was going to get it done. And it seems like Golladay is on that same track right now. You can play him, Marvin Jones Jr. as well. I like them both. Amendola, not nearly as much confidence in. Jesse James, same thing. I know TJ Hawkinson is out and Jesse James is the man now, but I don't trust him at all, especially when we talked about, I mean, I'd rather have Darren Fells, Mike Gesicki, I mean, you name them, Dallas Goedert. I would rather have all those guys over Jesse James. But Bo Scarborough's a guy who, man, it's...
Rob the fantasy train today and take 2 touchdowns in.
Well, now that you said it, he probably will.
I have the golden voice.
Yeah, so what do you think, man? You think the Vikings cover by 13?
No, I think it ends up a lot closer than in all reality. I think Detroit has, I mean, technically they're not, oh no, they did get mathematically eliminated. They have nothing to play for. So why not go ahead and just go all out? I mean, you have no, I mean, David Blau is basically right now, he's putting on his interview for the NFL. Last week against the Bears was a good start. But if he comes out and balls out against a Minnesota defense, hey, it just adds on. So I think they got a little extra motivation to play for this week.
Yeah, you're probably right. Moving into the next game.
Somewhere, so.
I mean, quarterbacks in general, man, it's going to be a very interesting offseason. I can't wait to talk about it with you guys.
Lions 21, Vikings 20.
Woo! Wow. Even with Cousins at home at 1 o'clock, you're going to take against my boy.
David leads a game-winning drive to Mr. Detroit field goal kicker. Poof, puts it up through. 58 yards.
Jeez. No, I've got to take Minnesota in this one. I don't think it is going to be a 13-point cover, though. Give me maybe 10 points, but Minnesota for sure. But I guess that means I'm taking the Lions with the points, folks. Moving into another divisional matchup, you've got the all of a sudden surging win streak Miami Dolphins. Ryan Fitzpatrick continuing his revenge narrative, continuing the tour, if you will, when they travel to New York to take on Adam Gase and the Jets. Ooh, talk about revenge game again. You got Gase and the Dolphins and Fitzpatrick and the Jets. I love it. This is a game That's going to be one ugly, folks. You've got no Le'Veon Bell for the Jets. It's going to be Bilal Powell in the backfield. And over-under of 46.5 for this one. Jets currently favored by 5.5. Initially, it was 7.5, so the Dolphins get a little bit more credit as we get closer to game time. Weather-wise, it doesn't look that bad. I mean, for New York this time of the year, when you think about the wind that's going to be in Buffalo, we're only expecting about 5 miles per hour for the Jets, so might not be an issue at all for Fitzpatrick or Sam Darnold. This could end up being a game where both the number 1 and number 2 fantasy quarterbacks come out of this game. So I can't wait to see how it shakes out. On the Jets side of the ball, I'm so glad we finally have clarity because it was going to be tough for owners going into it with the type of scenario where, do I completely trust Le'Veon Bell? Do I have to flex Bilal Powell? What do I do? So now that we know it's Bilal Powell, you can plug him in confidently. I think he's going to have a great game. Same with Sam Darnold. I think he's just fine. I know he burned everyone in a favorable matchup versus the Bengals last week, but he's going to right the ship. He's going to throw a couple touchdowns this week to Robbie Anderson, and Jamison Crowder is going to have a much better week than he did last week. I think Jamison Crowder is a good flex play as well. Ryan Griffin has been questionable all week with an illness, so definitely keep your eyes on the reports for Ryan Griffin, but I think he's a great play if he's healthy going into it. And then on the Dolphins side of the ball, I mean, I love the swag that Fitzpatrick has been playing with lately. Even though it was against my Eagles last week, I mean, it was just unbelievable. There was a point where he took the snap, sprinted right because he knew exactly what he wanted to do with it, threw it to Devontae Adams, just knew it was a one-on-one matchup.
Parker?
threw it to Devontae Parker.
Whoa. Devontae's in Green Bay, so you do not move him at all.
The way he's been playing has been even better than Devontae Adams, so I don't want to hear it.
Calm your biscuits, okay? Listen, Parker doesn't even hold the other Devontae's jockstrap. Okay, calm down with that.
All right. I got ahead of myself there, but I
just claiming number 17 for Green Bay. A trade just happened, folks. We haven't even seen it yet.
Just like everyone else wearing a Dolphins uniform this season, I got fired up by the likes of Fitzpatrick. But I think he's going to have a great game. I think Parker's going to have a great game. Gesicki is a good play, not a great play. He can get you about 10 points this week. But when it comes to running backs, I know we usually say whoever is getting work is going to score. But, man, if you're telling me you're going to put your fantasy hopes on the back of Patrick Laird this week, I would call you a fool when we talked about all the other options you could do. So don't fall for it. Don't fall for the fool's gold and Patrick Laird this week. There's several other options you could go with.
Well, I'm not going with well, you know what? I'm going with Miami. You know what? I'm sticking with the Fitzmagic. I'm sticking with I think Ryan Fitzpatrick goes off again. That
Me too.
Defense, Jamal Adams isn't there. That's a huge hole in the middle of the field. Marcus May is not a type of guy to come out and replace a guy like Jamal Adams.
We didn't report this in the news, folks, but a headline that just came across here on NFL Game Day. Panthers are expected to seek a trade for Cam Newton in the offseason, so there you go.
So they might want to restart.
Wow. That is something we can get into in another episode. I can't wait to talk about it. We've talked about Cam Newton quite a bit on this show, but
just came out as well. Dallas Cowboys head coach Jason Garrett is most likely gone after this season.
There you go.
So Garrett will be looking for a new home after the season. Jerry's trying to give him the respect to finishing out, see if he can get him in the playoffs. I don't think he does.
Yeah, I don't think he does either. This team is just in shambles right now. It's weird to think a team that still is number 1 in the division is looking so pessimistic right now, but that's the scenario you have in Dallas. But yeah, Dave, I'm totally on your side when it comes to this game. I think the Dolphins are playing with a lot of swag right now. I've got Miami winning this game as well. Hey, we've got our producer back. We've got Jay in the house. You're just in time to pick a winner for this battle in the AFC East between the Dolphins and Jets.
The what is it?
You've got the Jets at home taking on Ryan Fitzpatrick and the Miami Dolphins.
No Jamal Adams either for the Jets.
No Le'Veon Bell.
Yep.
I'll take Miami.
Hey, triple threat. Hey.
I didn't even hear everything. I'll take Miami.
Great. All right, let's keep it rolling.
Denver just basically gave up Devontae Adams to Miami without us knowing. He went ahead and was like, "Oh yeah,